Welcome, everybody. This is completely out of the ordinary. Did you ever ask yourself, in the course of a day, you look back on your day and you question some of your decisions? This might be one of those moments. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But let me turn my phone off here. So welcome, everybody. As you already know, because it's right there in front of you, Little Cheddar from the Varsity Club in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And this is the most non-traditional stream you are probably ever going to see out of me. And there's a couple of reasons for it. And I do encourage you to get in the chat. And, that's what this is about, is a Q&A. Feel free. I may not answer all of your questions, but, hang on a second. There, that's better. So this is, I was talking with Trevor Simpson earlier, as a matter of fact. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. Even though I did my own player spotlight in 3.0, and I forgot who actually was asking the questions, but this is a more in-depth self-interview. I don't know if you want to call it that. Of why I do what I do. Why would this crazy man stick $15,000 into a booth at the Varsity Club a year and a half ago with very little return on investment, right? And I'm going to keep looking at my phone here to see who's all tuning in. What's going on, Trevor? Rick Chamberlain? So, I started playing pool when I was 10 years old. 10, 11, somewhere around there. And this is, you're going to get into a little bit in-depth of my history and how I got to this point. So, my parents, or my mom, actually saved up in her Christmas fund, and she bought my dad an 8-foot Fisher pool table. It had the side-by-side nickel slots, and I literally had to walk around the table in order to play with one of those old milk crates, plastic milk crate. Still have it today, still use it, in order to play pool. And then my dad would take me. I actually started getting pretty good because I had no fear. And you see that in a lot of the kids these days. A lot of the juniors have that same mentality. They don't have that baggage of brutal losses and just heart-wrenching defeats that it makes some of us sour. So, man, I was unstoppable, or so I thought. So I grew up in New Holstein, Wisconsin, and my dad would take me to Chilton, wherever the local pool tournaments were. And after the tournament, my dad would put quarters up on the table and say, "My son will play you for $2 or $5, but he'd put up the money." And there were just strings of quarters. And it was the best feeling in the world, But I beat most of them. And everybody's going to recognize this name if you're from, like, the Sheboygan area, Chilton, New Holstein. Dale Mand is his name. And I met Dale Mand, and I've told him this story before. He's the reason why I wanted to play pool after watching him play. Because back in the 80s and 90s, man, that guy was unstoppable. I wanted to be just like him. So then, some of my friends started playing pool in New Holstein. If anybody ever remembers Bobby Wolf or Pat Wolf, They had a little corner bar, and then Pat actually opened a place called the Wolf's Den, or it was called Patty's Place. And he started running 9-ball tournaments, whatever. And I still have the trophy at home. It's the very first trophy ever won at Patty's Place. It was a little 9-ball tournament. Anyway, I was hooked. There's no turning back after that. And everybody, I guarantee if you're in the chat and you're a pool player, once it's in your blood, that's it. Either you completely give it up and never look back at the game again, or you're going to play it until the day you die, until you can't see anymore, which these were not present a couple of years ago, so we're getting there. All right, let's see who's all in the chat. Tim Armbruster, good evening, Tim. One of my friend down in Milwaukee, Justin Ellingson. Randy Parlick, what's going on? So this is, if you're just joining me, thanks. This is the most informal, well, I have my jersey on, but kind of like what I was alluding to in the beginning. Why am I doing this? I'm going to sum it up real quick, and then I'll elaborate a little bit. I'm having more fun than I've ever had my entire life right now. Not right at this moment, but pool has been like my place of refuge, my place of solitude, my place of hiding when the world went wrong, or my place to hang out with friends. When I moved to Sheboygan and met Tim Stockinger and Al Holden and Dan Welch and Jeff Getch and Z-Man, David Sly. There's so many people, and I apologize if I'm forgetting somebody. There's a lot out there. I got hooked on the competitive side of tournaments and so on. But tournament play, was on the weekend. What do you do during the week? I ended up buying my mom's table, or I got my mom's table and put it in the house when I was living in Sheboygan. So I was down there every single day of the week, playing all the time, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And I got to the point where if you're going to beat me on a Friday night at Sly's, good luck, because I played well. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, but back then, man, I was an asshole. I mean, I was one of the biggest assholes you could possibly meet in the pool world, because I had the worst temper out of probably any other pool player that I've ever met. And I was so angry at myself because back when I was playing as a kid against these guys, again, no fear, whoop up on anybody. But now I'm playing guys that are beating me and I'm losing and I get angry. So all that aside, again, pool was my place to run and hide from the little shithead that I was when I was a kid. I was into drugs, alcohol. All my friends were the same way. Just trouble. Looking for trouble. Jeff Brown will attest to that. Jeff and I go way, way, way back. And I'll tell you, 19 years, I believe it is right now, for Jeff Brown to be clean and sober. I'm very proud of you, man. But I was one of those guys, too, that, and this might be way on the personal side, but that's what this is about. Is I want you to know who I am outside of the lights of the pool table, the little Cheddar guy that you hear on the stream all the time. That's who I am. What's going on, Jason Gibbs? So, if you do have any questions, please, feel free at any time in the chat to ask away. So I got to the point in my life of pool where, let me go back a little bit. So 1990, Jeff Getch, Z-Man, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name right now. There were like 5 or 6 of us that went to Jeff Getch's house all the time. And Jeff bought Target Pool, Kim Davenport. And I know you've heard me say it on the stream a couple of times, but Target Pool is what got me from being a C+, B- pool player to that next level. And along with that next level and starting to win tournaments in Sheboygan came that arrogance. You see that in a lot of pool players these days. And I was probably the biggest offender. That unstoppable mentality, or you can't beat me. Man, was I put in my place time and time and time and time again. And you learn humility. That was the biggest lesson I ever got. So, again, the reason I tell you all of this is pool has given me more than I could ever explain to you in a half hour, 45-minute conversation. I can't. Pool has been the biggest staple in my life out of anything. You know, I've always had golf. I caddied, so on, but pool was the most prevalent part of anything that I ever did. So, fast forward 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was asked to commentate at Mad Apple. I'm like, hell yeah. Count me in. I get to talk stupid. I get to be around the game that I absolutely adore. Yeah, I'm in the public eye, so I still have a little bit of that ego sometimes. But again, that's not why I do this. I do this for the love of the game, and I'm going to skip over all of the things that happened over the last couple of years because it's really not important, but it led me to where I am today. And I'm super grateful for those decisions that I made to remove myself from situations that were not going to point me in a positive direction. And I'm going to leave that at that. So, when, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost, approaching Jeremy West when he still owned Varsity Club, hey, what's it going to take for me to put up a booth and venture out into the complete unknown? Didn't know crap about streaming software, didn't know about computers. I've been in construction the majority of my life, so all of the streaming stuff and everything, it's not me. But I spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on YouTube learning how to do what you see today. And I've had a lot of help along the way, don't get me wrong. I've had Chris Green, Scott Kugel, Trevor Simpson, Roger Pregler. And again, I'm sorry if I forget anybody, but I have 50 people that are standing behind me that helped get me to this point. And there's no way I could have done this myself. There's absolutely not. But $15,000 out of my pocket. I'm not a rich person in any way, shape, or form. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but When I say I'm doing it for the passion of the game, this is the only way that I knew how, because I could not think of any other way to give back to what has been given so much to me. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So when it comes to, and I'm going to get to some of these questions. Well, not really questions, comments. There is not a stroke zone match tonight, so that's why I'm doing this, Justin. And again, it just happened to be tonight because it's a crappy night, and the stroke zone match was postponed. So, contrary to a lot of the stories that you hear out there, and a lot of the rumors, and a lot of the lies, a lot of the BS that I deal with it every day. You know, I get messages constantly about my integrity and my morality. You know, you see it on Facebook once in a while, and most of the time I just kind of giggle or I laugh to myself, but sometimes it stings. It gets to me because I know who I am and I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. So when I say in a live stream about the knockout challenge and how it came to be, this is probably the most important part of this conversation for me, is the fact that how do I give the players and the pool community back something that I feel like I owe them, or not necessarily the players themselves, but the community as a whole. And that is how the knockout challenge came to be, is to give them the ability to play when they want for a lot of money that no amateur. I mean, there are other amateur tournaments right around the U.S. that do pay a lot of money, but not in Wisconsin. So here we are. Question from Trevor. What are some of a few of the life lessons that pool has taught me? Holy cow. You got to come up with the difficult questions right away. Thanks. Let me answer it like this. You know, there's been a couple of instances that have happened over the last couple of months where players did not give their opponents the due respect that they deserved. And that's one of the things that is actually, it's the biggest lesson that I was taught by others, and that I had to learn the hard way myself, is if you're going to win with grace, if you're going to win with humility, then you better lose with humility as well, and grace. And the reason why I'm a firm believer in this, you know, when people say some things that in a degrading way or condescending, or they're ridiculing somebody else, a lot of times it's a reflection on their own personality itself. And why they say those things, because typically it's something that they don't like about themselves. That was me. And sometimes it still comes out. Because I had, back in the day, I had no humility whatsoever. So the reason why I say that is now it's a lot easier for me to see that in other players, because they're acting the exact same way that I used to. And it's embarrassing as hell. It's embarrassing to see it, but it's it's even more embarrassing, or when you take it to heart, because I feel it, because that's who I was. So to answer your question, Trevor, that's probably the biggest life lessons. I've had to ban people from the stream permanently because they've been warned time and time again. And again, I'm not going to get into any details, but some guys, they keep getting away with it. They go to tournaments and they continue to belittle and berate other players disrespectfully after a loss or whatever. If there's anything that I want to change in the pool community, let me back up just a little bit. You hear it all the time. Why is pool not as prevalent as it used to be? And we could have a million arguments about this. Why are we not on ESPN anymore? Did Fargo ruin pool? Did 7-foot bar tables ruin pool? Here's my opinion, and my opinion only. Take it or leave it. What I think ruined pool the most is the bad attitudes from the players themselves, me included. And until players act accordingly and start respecting each other, then pool's going to stay exactly the way that it is right now. It's not. It's not going to change. No matter how you polish it, no matter what game you come up, whether it's stroke zone or whatever, it's not going to change unless the attitude of the players change. So, if I can contribute one thing to pool, that's what it's going to be. So, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to be, have the Napoleon syndrome. But I've told everybody that's ever played on the stream and ever KO challenge, you will act in a sportsmanlike manner, no matter what. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to get a warning, and then you're done. Finished. Because, and again, if you've never been called out on your actions, you're never going to change them. Just my opinion. Good evening, Kyle Vertel. I'm going to give you one of the best stories. Well, it's not even a story. What happened to me at the Carom Room many years back. You may have heard me say it on the stream before, but I never met the man before this. I was playing in a No Masters 9-ball tournament, race to 7, and I was, I think, one match away from the money, and I was playing against Larry Loomis. Never forget it for the rest of my life. It's 6 to 5. I'm on the hill. And had a tough shot on the 6 ball. Missed it, whatever. So Larry Loomis gets up. He pockets the 6 and leaves himself just this horrible shape on the 7. He has to bank the 7. He misses the bank. The 7 goes across the table and goes in the opposite side. And I slammed my fist on the table as hard as I possibly could. I was pissed and visibly angry. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder from behind. And he's like, "Hey, Dale, I got a question for you." Or I got a comment, actually. He's like, Larry he's just trying to play his best pool. He's trying to win just like you are. And he got lucky. He knows that. He knows that you got lucky, but why are you so angry? Why are you so mad right now? It was Pete Hurd. I never met Pete before that, but I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. And in the back of my head, now when I'm playing a match, that's always there. My opponent we're just all trying to win. But what that did was change the way that I take my losses. Opponents are going to get lucky, And again, this is not to put a microscope on any match or whatever, but you look at the finals of the 1.2 that just happened, and there's some lucky things that happen. There's very unlucky things that happen too. There's a lot of misses. We're all amateur players. But it's no reason to get angry. Just my thoughts. So, again, if I can change the face of pool in just even a little way, just a little bit, to get it in the right direction, it's like I said to Mrs. Cheddar numerous times, and I said it to very close friends. I don't say it publicly, but man, if I died right now, I'm gonna die a happy man, because this has been, it's been friggin' awesome. I'm having a time of my life, like I said in the beginning. Always open to suggestions. Some of the best ideas that you, the viewers, get to see on the stream are not mine. They're a culmination of a lot of people. Jason Gibbs, thoughts on where pool has come from the old smoke-filled pool halls and bars. What does USA Pool have to do with have a more professional feel like Europe? Man, I hate that conversation. Let me get the last part of that, and I'm assuming you're talking about the Mosconi Cup. Sorry, we just got a visitor. I really enjoy the Mosconi Cup, but man, it's got to be some of the biggest pressure for the players themselves, even though they're getting paid no matter what. But to represent your entire country, you have 5 players, and a captain. Wow. I wouldn't be able to handle it myself. So I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know what USA has to do to beat Europe. But, back in the day, I bet Europe was asking themselves the same question. How do we beat the USA? We had Archer and Strickland and Reyes and all of those guys. They're unbeatable, unstoppable. I don't know. Where has pool come from the old smoke-filled days? Or, yeah, smoke-filled pool halls. Well, I was a smoker back in the day. Haven't in, I don't know, 14 years, 15 years, something like that. Best decision I ever made. Man, I'll tell you, it was rough. You hear it all the time with a lot of the veteran players, that have been around for a long time, that they always say, if you want to cut your teeth, if you want to get better, if you want to be the best player that you can be, put your money where your mouth is, get beat up, lose thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's how you're going to get better. That worked for me. Is that going to work for everybody? Probably not. Again, in my single years, I had all kinds of time that I could devote to the game. No family, no kids, job. So when it comes to, and this is getting into the handicapping and the Fargo and so on and so forth, but there's a lot of players that they don't have the time because they have kids, family, other obligations to devote to getting better at the game. So should they be penalized with the low Fargo? And I don't even think I want to get into this discussion about Fargo. Tim Armbruster. Let's go to this. I think that let me go back to how has it changed from the old smoke-filled days? It used to be, I used to see so many bar fights. It was the 1002 on the Avenue in Sheboygan, where I seen a guy that lost a game of pool. And he took an empty beer bottle. It was a Budweiser bottle. I'll never forget it because I was picking up the pieces. But he broke it over the guy's head over $5. Literally $5. So, God, I hope we've progressed since then from attitudes like that. But you still see it once in a while. I hope that answers at least some of your part of your question, Jason. Or your comment, I should say. I kind of miss the days where you'd have a Friday night tournament and you'd get 40 guys that would show up from all over the state. We had, and if any of the viewers are in from Sheboygan, we had a place called Scores, which was down in the basement of the downtown club on 8th Avenue. And, man, it was the place to be on a Friday. There were some tournaments that we didn't finish until 8 o'clock the next morning. It was Ziggy, Lamar, Tim Senna, Scotty Olson, God rest his soul. Guys from all over the place. Bill Milkey. Dear Lord. All kinds of money. Does anybody have anything in the comments? Where did those days go? There's a lot of other things that there is to do right now and outside of pool. But if you look at this past weekend at WSPA, look how many juniors took home state titles. So I think that's a really good gauge, temperature gauge at where pool is still headed. I still think there's some really good possibility. And that's why back in, I even forget what month it was. It seems like forever ago, but that's why I put together, along with a lot of other people, the very first junior tournament here at Varsity Club. We had 31 kids that are all, they watch the Moscone Cup or they watch the U.S. Open or whatever, and they're like, man, I want to be just like them. So I think we've got a pretty good future. Steve Zoo, very good advice. So Tim Armbruster, I think that the Projection Pro Billiards stroke zone system is an incredible tool to help players get better. Would you agree with the average amateur player struggles with how to practice on their own? Absolutely. and I'm not, instead of giving you long dragged out story of how it came to be, um, Jeremy West came up with the idea of doing, it's like the Big Break, the golf. It was on the Golf Channel for quite some time, and he said, you know what, we got to do something like the Big Break, where you get a bunch of contestants together, and you do skills challenges. Whether it's 8-ball, 9-ball, 10-ball, jump shots. There's so many different things. That's the reason I purchased the Projection Pro Billiards, the stroke zone system, was to incorporate that into the Big Break Billiards. Also, Matt Strong and I have talked about it numerous times that me personally, and this is just my opinion, I think it's the best training aid out there because of what Tim Armbruster just said. Is you look at 400, 450, 500 Fargo, 525. Their biggest struggle is it's not so much pocketing balls, it's getting to that position where they need to for the next shot and the next shot and the next shot. That's what Stroke Zone does. It's not just a game. It is the best training tool, in my opinion, because it teaches you accuracy, speed, cue ball control, all of those together while having a good time. So, also, if you get one of those systems, and I guess I'll elaborate a little bit on it. So there's two different ways that you can own and use Stroke Zone. They're physical zones, where it's an actual target that you put. It's a very thin material that you put on the table itself. Don't even need a projector. It's coming very soon. Or you can get the projection system with all 180 shots already laid out for you. So if you use that as a practice drill, I'm not just saying this haphazardly. It will improve your game. There's no question about it. Again, going back to 1990, it is the reason. Kim Davenport is the reason that I don't know what my Fargo is right now, 638, 64, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. But that's the reason I am. In a lot of years of practice. Good question. Wow. Trevor Simpson, where would you like to see Outer Points Productions be in the next year? Wow, cool question. I have no friggin' idea. I've done professional events. You know, everybody knows that Brian and I were down at Derby last January, recording matches for Inside Pool Magazine. Time of my life. The pinnacle of my pool career. No questions asked. Every single pro, okay, not every single, every pro that I've ever wanted to meet, I got to. I got an autograph, a big set of autograph balls for the juniors that we raffled off. Actually, Eddie Altman ended up buying them. It was something I could cross off of my bucket list. Best 6 days I've ever had in pool. Whatever happened after that, it's not important. So, I've done professional events. I've done, commentated on a lot of pro matches. I got to sit with Tim DeRuyter and George Teachea to commentate on my all-time favorite player, Allison Fisher. Time of my life in Baraboo. So, to answer your question, Trevor, if I never do any of that again, I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me. So where I see Outer Points Productions in the next year is I want to expand the Knockout Challenge to the rest of the country. And it's already happening. So Collins Newey of Post Up in Sacramento at Hard Times Billiards is already doing his own version of the KO Challenge. We've been talking a lot over the last couple of months, and I know I've mentioned this on the stream a couple of times. And I'm trying to get with Lonnie Mitchell from Texas, and I've really kind of dropped the ball lately with everything else going on. But the reason why I say that, so the KO Challenge started with a 32-player bracket was the very first one. Took a little while to fill, but it's been a success. So what I want to do is fill a 32-player bracket in all 50 states. Just 32 players, whatever the Fargo is, so on. So my ultimate goal is within the next year and a half, if I can fulfill that, I want to give one amateur player a check for $100,000. And it's feasible. It's within my grasp. Other than a big tournament like that, I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to keep delivering. I've said this before. You know what drives me the most is the haters or the guys that are jealous. People that had opportunities to be right here where I'm sitting right now. I'm a perfectionist, but when people complain or badmouth me, it just drives me to get better and better. And it's not the only reason that I keep doing what I'm doing, because I am a perfectionist, and I hate when when, like the other night, when the cameras didn't work. Man, that drove me insane. Right, Trevor? Or Chris was in the booth with me at the time. So somebody said something the other day that, and you see it on Facebook. I try to, as much as possible, to stay away from the negativity, but sometimes it's almost unavoidable in some circumstances. But it's one of the things that drives me insane is when people are condemning another stream, and I'm guilty of it back a year and a half ago. I did it lightly as well, in a really kind of roundabout way, if you will. And it's regrettable. I've had this conversation with several close people that if you're not growing, then what are you doing? But I've seen, some of the things that I've done in the past that, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But now, when I see people that do nothing for the pool community other than complain, get the hell out. Why? You got, I could show you my YouTube channel right now, and you're more than welcome to see it. You know what Outer Points Productions made last month? $9.53. No lie. I've had, rumors get back to you no matter what. They always do. I've been called a liar on my sponsors are fake. All of those logos and everything that are on my stream are not real. The sponsors aren't true. He's just making himself out to be better than he really is, I got one finger for you. I'm very proud of my sponsors. And my job is to make them proud to be a part of Outer Points Productions. And I take that very seriously. I may skip over sponsors at times because I get caught up in the moment as well. But all of my sponsors are, how do I say this? Because it's the most, let me back up a little bit. When I was, let's just say a year and a half ago, I had to go out looking for sponsor money. And going door to door, that's not easy, believe me. But when I decided to go out on my own, I made a promise to myself that I was going to give the general public a reason to want to ask me how to become a sponsor. So I didn't have to go out and ask. So the 20 sponsors that I currently have, they've all come to me. And there's nothing about Outer Points Productions that makes me more proud and just a complete honor. So all of those that you see on the stream have put their faith in me and my stream to give them a good image of their business. And like I said, I don't take that lightly. Trevor Simpson, if money were no objects, give a top 3 list of things you would improve upon to make Outer Points Productions better. I would probably invest in more cameras, or I'm really happy the way things are, Trevor. I force myself every single day to learn, and it drives Mrs. Cheddar insane. I think anyway. And she doesn't say it, but actually, give me just a second. Excuse me. I'll be up till 2 or 3 in the morning on YouTube trying to learn what a trigger is or an overlay. I hear rumors all the time, that somebody else taught me everything that I know. I taught myself everything that I know. I may have learned some basics, but that's it. So, to answer that question, what if money were no object? Man, I really have a hard time answering that question. I want to make, and this may or may not answer the question, but to me, it's not only a dream come true at the age of 58, but if I can keep doing what I'm doing right now and make a living at it, make a career out of what I do, that's my ultimate goal. And some people are going to think, man, you shouldn't make money off of pool players. which is why I became very transparent with everything that I do. So all of my money, all of the money that comes into Outer Points Productions and goes out of Outer Points Productions is accounted for. Other than my sponsors, because honestly, that's nobody else's business other than between me and my sponsors. So if I can make a living and do the things that I want to do and keep delivering the same content or better content than what I already have, then that's my ultimate goal. I mean, I I can't really come up with three things that I would, or two more things, Trevor. Sorry. Michael Sabata, I hope I answered your question already about all the juniors. I think it's phenomenal. And again, if people are wondering where the state of pool is in our state, pun intended, I guess, I think it's in really good hands. If they're taught the right things, if they're taught respect, integrity, sportsmanship, all of those things before they learn the game, before they learn the basics of pool, that's what's going to give pool a much better future, my opinion. Mark Bell, will you ever do a $3.99 and under? Yes, absolutely. And that question has been asked on, holy cow, more than one occasion. So my ultimate goal, and I guess this might be one of the things that answers Trevor's question, where do I see Outer Points Productions going? So with all of the KO challenges and everything, what I want to do is, and let me take a step back. There's nothing wrong with the King of Hill, or what used to be the King of the Hill at Mad Apple. So where that list continued to grow and grow and grow and grow, I loved the fact that there were so many players that wanted to participate in it. It was amazing because I managed that list for a long time. But again, you can only do so many, and you can only have, again, if I had an unlimited budget, I guess, Trevor, in a roundabout way, I'm going to answer one of your questions. So if I had unlimited money, I'd want to pay my co-commentators $20 an hour minimum for all the time that they put in the booth. As I've said, I'm not a rich man in any way, shape, or form, but those guys deserve compensation for all of their time that they're putting in. They're giving up time, away from their family as well. So if I had a huge bankroll, that would be one of the things that I would spend it on, is my co-commentators. So one of the things that I was unhappy about in the past is when comments were made about $3.99 and under, or a $4.25 and under on the stream, and the comments were, well, nobody wants to watch that. Who the hell wants to watch that? I think that's the most ignorant, self-centered, egotistical comment that it's just angered the crap out of me. We all started somewhere. I didn't start at a 640 Fargo. We all started somewhere. So The reason why I want to do the lower Fargo or lower handicap player tournaments is to give them the exposure. Even if they don't have a whole lot of viewers, it's going to put a pressure on them where they're not, I referred to it earlier about gambling all the time. And that's going to make you a better player. If I put those players in a position where they've got people watching, where they've got people, family watching, it's pressure. And they're going to have to perform. I think that is the best lesson to give them, to go back and look at their mistakes, where they could have done something a little bit different. It's not like I always give the best pool commentary, because I believe there should be a good balance in between pool commentary and a reason to bring the viewers back. And if I can give advice to the lower Fargo or lower handicap players that's going to help their game, then I'm going to stream every one of those matches. So, to answer your question, Mark Bell, yeah, damn right I'm going to. At some point. All right, so to bring this all around full circle is I am going to try to hit every Fargo range possible. And we've seen it time and time again on Wisconsin Pool Players Society or whatever about some of the higher Fargo players not showing up anymore. So mark my words, and this is not a threat. This isn't anything other than just an honest statement. If that trend continues with my stream, I just won't do it anymore. I mean, it's that simple. And all the bars and pool halls and that catered, or that people say that they cater to the lower Fargo. Hell yeah, they do, because that's their bread and butter. Otherwise, they're going to close the doors, and then they're going to be complaining because they don't have a place to play. Sometimes in pool you just can't win. But my opinion, it doesn't matter what your Fargo is, whether you should get as much airtime as the next guy. Oh, very cool. So Trevor Simpson says right now, and I didn't know this, is so it's called Post Up. If you're getting bored with me because I'm continuing to ramble on, it's just my MO. That's what I do. I mean, if you haven't listened to the stream before, I can't stop talking. But if you get an opportunity, go over to Post Up, and you can see where the Knockout Challenge is going. It's in California. So I guess it's the very first match of, it's actually called PUTS, Puts or Putts, which is the Post Up Tournament Series. So if you do get over there, jump in the chat and tell Collins Little Cheddar says hi. So we've become pretty good acquaintances. So Bob Miller, thank you. Roger Pregler, I'm already afraid. Amy Cools, you have a great thing going. I'm sure plenty of people would be willing to sponsor if you asked. It's hard, I get it, but don't be afraid to ask. That's one of the things that, and again, I don't dwell on history. I made decisions for a very good reason for myself. Sometimes for my sanity. I don't want to go back. I don't want to ask people to sponsor my stream. I really enjoy having people come to me and say, how can I put my logo on your stream? How One of the best ones I got was, and again, don't take this the wrong way if any of the other sponsors out there, but one of my recent sponsors said, you know, you don't even have to put my logo on your stream. You don't even have to do a sponsor spotlight. You don't have to do anything. I just want to give you something for what you're doing for the pool community. Trevor says this to me all the time, and I try to as much as possible, and sometimes it's really hard. I don't see where my reach is. I don't see how far Outer Points Productions has grown or where it's all expanded to until I ask the people in the chat to tell me where they're from. And it's the coolest thing when, they're putting Australia. And I know other streams do that. I'm fully aware of that. But my subscribership has grown. Let me give you an example. Just in the last 10 days, my channel has gone up 36 new subscribers out of, we're fast approaching 1,500. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. It is a grain of sand on a very large beach. But it's one of the reasons that I partnered with Stroke Zone, Don Mackey, Kim Davenport, is to not only grow what they are trying to sell as an incredible training aid, iGaming. If I can help grow their business and grow my channel at the same time, it's a win-win for everybody. So, going off of what you said, Amy, I love the fact of having sponsors ask, how can I contribute to what you're doing for the pool community? And that's it. If I don't get any more sponsors from here out, I don't care. I'm going to... Okay. Sometimes I say that without the brain engaging first. I do care. But I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because I don't have new sponsors, if that makes sense. Randy Parlick, being on the stream is a lot of pressure. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, actually. And thank you for bringing that up, Randy. And I know that this goes back a little ways in the conversation, but that's what I want to give the players because, and I say it on every stream, or most, is I'll sit here in the booth and watch the players warm up. And they're running racks. They're making shots like a 620, 630, 640 Fargo player. Getting perfect shape. And then we turn the lights on. And we turn the cameras on. And everything changes. So I think it's the best thing that you can do for the players. I was actually told, and again, this goes back a couple of months where somebody said, if you're paying that entry fee just to be on the stream, you're being robbed. You're stealing money from the players. That's a shame people feel that way. It really is, because that's never my intent ever. Um, I give all that money back and only keep what helps me to keep going and keep doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I have to close the doors. Plain and simple. So I'm not going to change that. Not going to change the format. I'm always open to suggestion. I'm always open to criticism if it's warranted. But I'm not going to change what I'm doing for anybody, because I think it's working. And if it's gonna benefit the pool community, if a player paying for them to be on the stream is going to make their game better, then mission accomplished. Bob Miller. It will toughen you up being on the stream, no doubt about it. The Low Fargo will get a lot of it. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Amy. So, as I said a while back, or at the beginning of this, I've been wanting to do this for a long time because, we do player spotlights once we get down to the final 8 of each one of the knockout challenges. And I wanted the viewers and my sponsors alike to know, again, why I do what I do. So contrary to, I'm not going to get into any kind of negativity tonight at all, because we all have enough of that in our lives already. But, I've been called a liar. I've been called, my military records are fake. I was never there. I've heard it all. Trust me, I've heard it all. And to those people, keep doing what you're doing. Just seriously, just keep doing what you're doing, because it just makes me stronger. I don't owe anybody anything. But in here, in my heart, I owe the pool community as a whole to give back what's been given to me. And I know I've said that before. I'm repeating, but thank you, Bob Miller. These are the things that keep. I've said it on the stream before that you think it's a very small amount, but it's the gesture that counts. Every little bit helps all the time. And I'm not going to name names, but I delivered some player auction money to the buyer of 1.2. Not important who it is. I also delivered a jersey to one of the winners of some of the giveaways that I do. So the person who won the player auction money gave me some of that back, just to say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. I really, really appreciate your stream. I love what you do. Don't let it end. That contribution was phenomenal. The person that I gave the jersey to gave me a $100 bill and said, Dale, you have no idea the impact that you're having on pool in Wisconsin. And again, I'm in this booth. I'm in this little booth, and sometimes to me, it feels like a little shell, and I don't see where I guess the reach is at times. Now I think I'm babbling on, but I know it's having a positive effect. 99.9% or 98 point whatever percent of the time, it's having a positive effect, and that's going to continue, God willing. And for the people that are in the 2% that try to drag me down or whatever, good luck. Good luck. It's not going to happen. There's nothing you can do. So all of these little contributions, I shouldn't even say that. Thank you for the gesture. Much appreciated. What was Jamie's comment? Pressure makes easy things hard, but eventually it also makes hard things easy, just like life. Wow. What an awesome statement, Jamie. There's so many correlations between life and pool. I talk about golf and pool all the time. I don't want to get deep into the weeds and make myself sound like an idiot. But there's highs and lows in everything that we do. Tennis, pickleball, doesn't matter. Pool, life. Win with grace. Lose with grace. One other comment that I missed or I went past. Rick Chamberlain, that's the talk of the ignorant. Too bad that folks like that don't try what you're trying. Owning your own business or product is awesome, mostly because you have only to report to one a-hole. True story. No doubt. You know, I've always found, too, that those that criticize, those that condemn, those that are judgmental, those that put other people down are so unhappy with themselves that they have nothing better to do to make themselves feel better than to criticize other people. You get the flying monkeys and everything to get them on your bandwagon and try to drag other people down. It's too bad. It's a shame. So, as with every stream, as a business owner, as Rick just stated it, my biggest appreciation is you. And that's one of the biggest things it's the most important thing to me in this stream. And I was actually going to put that on Facebook the other day, and I just kind of resisted. What's the most important thing about any stream out there? I don't care what it is, whether it's gaming, whether it's the viewers. Without the viewers, I don't exist. I'm 58 years old. And damn it, I am going to give something back to the pool community that has helped me get to this point in my life. Is there a stroke zone match tomorrow? What is tomorrow? The 13th? No. You know what? Actually, yeah, I don't have it on this screen. I think the next match is the 15th. But look for it on Facebook. Tim Armbruster says, Jamie, my comment when it comes to pool, especially tournaments, is that pressure makes diamonds. Ha! Well said. Jamie, pool is like a lot like in a 3-hour match, only the people that have played this awesome, aggravating game know what goes in your mind. Yeah, no doubt. Well, I have rambled on long enough. Just got a message from Roger Pregler. The 16th and 17th are the next Stroke Zone matches, depending on when J.R. Villegas and Vincent Schrader reschedule theirs from tonight. So, with that being said, again, I can't thank the viewers enough and all the subscribers. It is growing much faster than I had anticipated. And as I've said before, I'm always open to suggestion. Just be respectful of how you word it. You know, that, hey, you should do this. Just gets under my skin a little bit. But thank you, everybody, thanks for your time. Thanks for letting me be real, if you want to title it that way. And don't ever let yourself think that you go unappreciated. With anybody. Well, I mean, with anything in life. But know this, that I really do appreciate you. Because without the chat, this wouldn't be as fun as what it is. I'm one of those guys that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and Amy Cools will be the first to attest to that. When we had the junior tournament here, it was the very first time, and NBC 26 was here, and they asked me to do an interview. And if you remember, Amy, I couldn't get through it. I couldn't do it. Because I'm an emotional person, and I say it on the stream sometimes too, that this is really easy from this side of the microphone, from this side of the booth, but put me out there in front of a camera, like the trophy presentations and so on. Ask Trevor. Man, I'm sweating bullets. I'm ready to wet my pants. So I don't stifle myself when it comes to things like that. Things that are important to me, I'm just gonna let it out. If you don't like it, I don't care. Really don't care. I am who I am. So again, that being said, I thank you very much, everybody, for your time tonight, and thank you for the questions. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you did too. You know who I am. So going forward, every time that you see the next stream or the next Stroke Zone challenge or whatever it may be, I'm a real person. So Don't ever hesitate if you see me in a crowd to come up and say hi. I'm so and so. We've never met before, but I'm in the chat all the time. It's one of my favorite moments. Jeremy Gould. Is there any matches over at the other outer points? I don't see much posted. That's not for me to answer. I know nothing about what's going on there. And it's one of the things I don't care to discuss anymore. I've moved on. Outer Points is my name. I came up with the name itself, and which is why when I decided to go on my own, to put the last name Productions at the end. So there's no affiliation whatsoever. He's doing his thing, whatever. It has no effect on me whatsoever, and it won't. So again, it's just a conversation I don't care to discuss. But thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Mrs. Cheddar is not feeling very good the last couple of days. I want to get something to eat and go home. Again, for everybody that chose to spend your time with me tonight, thanks. And this is going to be on my channel, of course. How do I put this? I don't like people that make empty promises of things to come or tout, blow their own horn or whatever the case may be. But I can promise you this. As long as I'm allowed to stay here at Varsity Club and keep doing what I'm doing, you are going to continue to get better and better content, whatever it takes. That's a promise. So, with that being said, have a good night, everybody.